You're listening to Sensitive Changemakers. This podcast is created for highly sensitive leaders and is designed to support you to embrace your strengths and gifts so you can feel more confident in your own mind and body and live a life with intention, purpose, and more importantly, joy. I'm your host, Kate Carter, a fellow HSP who has a BA Honours degree in education, is a fully trained and qualified professional coach and NLP practitioner, and has over 17 years of teaching and over 3 years of coaching experience supporting highly sensitive people. I believe that you can do anything you want to in this life, but that sometimes the path forward becomes muddy with self-doubt and fear of failure. It's my mission to help sensitive thought leaders peel away the self-doubt and stories holding them back, for them to see their own beauty and strength so they can increase self-confidence and self-trust through thought and embodiment work, and see their path clearly and move forward confidently, living their life with intention and purpose. I would love for you to come and join us. Hello and welcome. I hope, as always, you are having a wonderful, wonderful week. This has been quite a busy week, but a good one. And just as always, just really grateful for feeling well, feeling energized and enjoying the most from my week. So today's episode comes off the back of some discussions that I've been having with clients in sessions. And it's something I see come up quite a lot. And I know that it's come up for me. And as a result, I really wanted to bring this to this episode because I'm hoping it helps you. I hope that you can take something away that you can implement, think about, as always. So the questions that I've got for you, I really kind of want you to just ponder on. And I want you to think about if you often feel like you're not good enough unless someone tells you that you're doing a great job. Or do you find yourself constantly seeking external approval? If this is you, you're not alone. I think it's so common for all of us. And as a teacher, I can see how society and education plays into this. So, from a really young age, we are given tests or exams or assessments or some kind of way of assessing how we're getting on, and we're given scores. And they were kind of praised on the back of how well we've done in that. So if we've got a good score, well done, you've done amazing. And we kind of molded into humans who are constantly looking for that external validation. Like, I'm not good enough unless I get a high score. I'm not good enough unless somebody tells me that I am. And I think that's why it comes up so often in sessions. And one of the consequences of feeling like this is that we often put other people on a pedestal and we see ourselves as somehow less. And I think this goes for all of us, but especially if you're highly sensitive and you're empathic and you understand people and you want to please people, that people pleasing tendency tends to come into play here as well. You really do feel like they must know what they're talking about and therefore I don't, or I'm going to get caught out, although they're amazing and I'm not doing all of those things. Why aren't I like them, or why can't I be as good? And it is, when we get down to the core of things, that's just a perspective and it's just a habit. And I'm saying just there because I know that is factually what's going on there. It is a perspective. It is your way of seeing things, but it feels incredibly real and incredibly true. And so as a result, it affects our behaviors and our actions and our attitudes and all of those different things. And I think one of the things that I really want to talk about today is how important it is to start self-validation. To start, if you haven't already done this before, if you just coming into your journey and you're just being aware that actually, for a better word, you give your power away to other people. You are constantly looking for validation from others. This is a fantastic episode to join us in on, to start actually the process of balancing that out. Again, we're not in any of these episodes, we're not talking about extremes. We're not talking about going from, not feeling validated and requiring other people to validate us all the way to I'm amazing and nothing could stop me. You know, I don't want us to get into that kind of narcissistic tendencies, but what I do think we kind of need to balance the scales a little bit. So, as always, talking about balance of scales here. So, the first thing I really want to talk about is self-validation and what it is. So, it means recognizing and accepting your own thoughts, feelings, and achievements without needing external approval. It's about acknowledging your worth and accomplishments independently from other people's thoughts and feelings. And it's absolutely crucial for building self-confidence and resilience. And I've already spoken about how I feel that school and society kind of molds us into this kind of thinking. But I would like to highlight here as well, you weren't born with this. If you think back to when you were a kid, I bet that you can think of an example where you didn't care what other people thought and you did things because you enjoyed them. And there were times where you appreciated when you were good at something and you didn't care whether somebody agreed with that or not. Um, Even if, I mean, I used to think, just trying to think of some examples so you can see what I mean here. As a kid, I used to think I was an amazing singer. I wasn't, but I didn't care what other people thought at the time. I sang. I sang to my heart's content. Um, I don't think I'm a bad singer, but I wasn't gifted. But at the time, I didn't care. That didn't bother me. I didn't look for other people's approval. I just sang. And I think sometimes we need to embrace that inner child, embrace those things and feelings and thoughts that we used to have. Yes, we are more mature now, and yes, we've grown. But some of those qualities that we had as a kid are really important to bring to the forefront. And I know that's not easy to do. So I've got some ideas, I've got some techniques and tools that I really want you to go and play with, trial, see what comes up for you. So the first one is a self-reflection journal. Now, we've talked about the power of journaling before. This is so vital if you don't have anybody to talk to. So if you don't have a coach or a therapist, um, and you do want to start that self-reflection process, journaling is a fantastic way of doing this. And there's a couple of ways that you can do this. So daily reflections, setting aside a few minutes each day to write down your thoughts and experiences, focus on what you did well or challenges that you overcame and how you felt throughout the day. And this can just kind of shift our perspective a little bit, because remember, most of what we go through every single day is what we went through the day before. And what I mean by this is our thought processes. So we have thousands and thousands and thousands of thoughts each day. And it's the majority of them, I can't remember the figure, it's over 80, but the majority of our thoughts are the same thoughts that we had yesterday and the day before and the day before. And it's an automated process. It's just one of those things that left unchecked will just keep happening day to day. It's like you've pressed, I'm going old school here, but it's like you've pressed play on an old tape cassette and you're just playing it and it's just playing. And unless you've got the awareness to press stop, those thoughts, just like a tape player, will just continue to play. And so one of the things that actually can really support you here is learning how to press that stop, learning how to create awareness around it and actually start to shift your thought patterns. And it can happen quicker for others, but it doesn't matter how much time it takes. It's the actual journey you go through. And so however small the steps you need to take, I think that's the important thing to focus on, not how long it's going to take you, but your individual steps and what you're doing every day. So back to journaling, just having that time to focus on something different than you wouldn't normally do. And so focusing on what you did well, the challenges that you overcame, times where things did go well or that you did feel good. Again, because most of the people that I've spoken to, myself included here, and I know a lot of you probably listening as well, we do tend to default to thinking about the things that could have gone better, the things that didn't go well, the crappy feelings that we're feeling. So this is just encouraging you to see things in a different light. It is not about plastering over when you're not feeling good. I just want to caveat that, because I'm not into this kind of sort of toxic positivity almost, where we just plaster things over and pretend that everything's okay. This is not what this is about. this is about kind of just shifting and pattern interrupting something, an automated response, an automated thought pattern that we've had, to shift our perspective to something different, to actually shine a light on the things that are going well, not making up stuff that is going well, but actually do reflect on the things that are going well, the bits of, those glimmers of positivity that are true, that are there, but we may just have not realized were there. And at the same time, the flip side of this is, yes, by all means, get that support to look at the times that you aren't feeling so good, and to get that support to dig into that a little bit deeper and what's going on there. So these things are not mutually exclusive. You can do both at the same time. But I just wanted to caveat that, because I know a lot of people just think, well, I've got to be positive then. No, that's not what this is about. This is about looking for the things that are already in your life, that are happening, that are good, that you may not have seen at first glance. The other thing that comes up for me here are affirmations, and I have a kind of probably a different perspective on affirmations to most people. And it's built on what I've just been saying. Affirmations are amazing as long as they are true to you and they are something that you can grab onto and hold and believe in. If they are just affirmations that you've been told to say, like, I am amazing, I am enough, and you don't truly feel like that, or you can't tap into that at all, your subconscious is not going to accept that. It's going to just, it's very powerful. It's just going to say, it's a load of rubbish. This isn't really how I feel. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna spend any time actually accepting this. So what we need to do is, and I talk a lot about being in a bubble and that bubble being our comfort zone, and we need to kind of look at the edges of that bubble when we're creating our affirmations. So they're still within our realms of our comfort zone, but they're pushing those edges. They're just kind of those tiny little pushes, those tiny little steps. And you're going to, over time, make that bubble bigger and bigger, and your comfort zone will grow. And when we're talking about, the reason I'm bringing in the comfort zone here is because it's so easy, again, to do the things that we've always done. And that's not where growth happens. Growth happens when we stretch ourselves, when we think differently, when we do things differently, when we have a different perspective. And that is what I'm talking about here. So that stretching of the comfort zone is where you will find your growth. And when we're talking about things like this, when we're talking about how you can start to see yourself differently, how you can start to validate yourself rather than relying on other people to validate you, that is something that's really important here. Learning how to kind of stretch ourselves in terms of our thoughts and how we speak to ourselves, and the behavior and the attitude that we have to different things. All of those different things are about stretching that comfort zone and that bubble. So I hope that makes sense. So journaling, fantastic way of just reflecting on the day, and again highlighting those little glimmers throughout the day, the true glimmers, the ones that were there, we're not making them up, the ones that were there. And again, with those affirmations, really picking something that feels true for you but a bit of a push. So instead of I am enough, if you're not feeling enough, you can change it to something like I am learning how to be enough. And so you're on that journey, and your body and brain is much more likely to accept something like that because it's a stretch, but it's not outside of your bubble completely. So I hope that really makes sense. If you feel, however, that all you're coming up with, then I think this is a really important, sorry, my arm's gone dead. I was leaning on my arm, it's gone completely dead. If you are feeling that all you're coming up with are achievements and things you've accomplished, which I find happens to the best of us. Again, we've been kind of molded that way through society and education. But I think when we're on this journey of looking at validation, it's easy for us to make a shift from looking at or feeling that we have to be validated by other people to switch into, well, I'll just name all the things that I've accomplished as well. So I've accomplished I did my degree, I did this, I learned how to drive, all of these different things. That's fantastic if that's your small step that you need to make from looking at or feeling that you have to be validated by others into self-validation. It could be one of those kind of mid steps moving from one to the other. However, if this feels like it's not helping how you're feeling, then one of the things I would really recommend you doing here is thinking and just digging a little bit deeper into your qualities rather than your accomplishments. So your qualities as a person, your personal qualities. I asked a client of mine this not so long back to list the qualities that she thinks she has. Ones like friendly, happy, fun, all of those different personal qualities, because that is something that makes up you. And that goes a lot deeper than the accomplishments and the things that you've achieved. And one of the things that I love to do, and I've practiced this on myself from my training, because I just think it was sounded a little bit strange. And I thought, I'm just going to try this out and see how it feels. And it does work. It feels really good. One of the things is, and you don't need anything for this, but just you, is every evening before you go to bed, thinking about the qualities that you like about yourself. So if you like the fact that you're friendly or that you like the fact that you're helpful, I just want you to kind of sit at the end of the day, close your eyes and visualize the event during that day where that quality was shining through. So if your quality that you wanted to focus on was being friendly, you think about the day that's happened and you visualize a situation, event during that day where you were friendly. And you kind of just hold that image in your head, smiling probably, people around you smiling, you feeling happy and relaxed. And then when you're doing that, when you've got the picture really clear in your head, you physically give yourself a hug. And I know, like I said, that's why I wanted to kind of break it up for you. But you physically just give yourself a hug. You wrap your arms around yourself and you give yourself a hug. And in this way, not only are you pattern interrupting, because again, you're shifting your perspective, you're looking at something that's happened that day, but maybe something that you would have just glossed over in a normal kind of day to day. You're focusing on that, but you're also bringing the body into it by giving yourself a hug, by, you know, allowing yourself to like that part of you, to go, that's okay that you liked that. It's okay that that was a good part of your day. Because the body remembers things just as much as the brain does. And just allowing yourself to kind of hug yourself and give yourself a bit of a break can really help on both fronts, on both the mind and the body. And it really does help you to feel safe in highlighting these better, good situations, events that have happened through the day, but also really digging in deeper into who you are as a person rather than what you are doing or achieving. And that is so crucial, because then you're really digging into your identity, which is where change happens. When you start to see yourself differently, that's when you start to think differently and act differently, behave differently. And so this is really supporting you in that process. So I hope that makes sense. The next technique is, as always, mindfulness meditation. It's such a wonderful way just to allow yourself to think. Now, a lot of people, when they talk to me about meditation, they always say, Kate, I can't meditate. I can't sit there and not think of anything. That's okay. In fact, that's perfect for this technique, because all you have to do is give yourself 5-10 minutes or longer if you want to, in a quiet room, close your eyes, get comfy, and just allow your thoughts to come to the surface. I've spoken about this before, but I really don't think very many of us do this. We're always so busy. We've always got so many different things to do. But actually just allowing your thoughts to come to the surface makes you realize how many times you're thinking that, or how many times that's coming up for you, or what's coming up for you, or realizing that you actually thought about X, Y, and Z so much. It's just allowing you to really just acknowledge any thoughts or feelings. And at this point, it's all about awareness. So you're not trying to change them. You're simply observing. And isn't that really interesting that that came up yesterday? That's obviously really bothering me because it's come up every day. And it just allows you to create some awareness around things. Like I've said before, you can't change something you're not aware of. And so mindfulness in this way, in this kind of almost like a mini meditation, really just enables you to see what's going on underneath the surface. The next one I think that's so important in this process is self-compassion. So many of us can judge ourselves and find ourselves as less, less worthy, not enough, etc. And like I said, it feeds into that putting other people on a pedestal. One of the things that we need to do here is kind of just remove that self-judgment. One of the ways that we can do this is through curiosity, getting curious about things. But also an easier way, if you find that tough to start off with, which I do understand, is to remind yourself it's okay to feel whatever you're feeling. All emotions are valid. And just one of the questions that I always ask my clients is, what is the most helpful or kindest thing you could say to yourself in that moment? And just practice that technique. It's okay that I'm feeling really crappy today. All emotions are valid. What's the most helpful or kindest thing I can say to myself right now? And just show yourself a little bit of self-compassion. One of the other things that's building on the journaling that we talked about before is you could have a kindness journal where you write down acts of kindness that you've shown to yourself, that you've actually kind of just, you can appreciate that you've shown yourself that kindness and that compassion, and reflecting on those moments, because it helps you to build a more compassionate relationship with yourself. And that's really going to support you in making any change. And the last one that I really want to talk about that you can do on your own is celebrating achievements. And I am huge on celebrating the smallest of wins. This doesn't have to be a big achievement. In fact, I would say to you, focus on the smallest win that you possibly can every single day. Those milestones, those small steps that you're taking. And it could be, to start off with, you celebrate the fact that you reflected on your day and you found some of those glimmers that were there that you may have overlooked before. That's a win. That's a huge win. You've pattern interrupted how you normally think, and you've shifted your perspective. Don't ever underplay that. That's such an important win. So those small wins really do compound over time, and you will find that you do think differently. So I'm hoping that all makes sense. The last thing that isn't necessarily about things that you can do on your own, it's about getting support. It's about having a supportive environment, because that can make such a big, big difference. So we're surrounding yourself with people who uplift you and encourage you, rather than those who constantly criticize or bring you down. Now, I know in a lot of situations, we don't get to choose who we're around. If we're in a workplace, we don't get to choose necessarily who we work with. But I think it's so important, where you are able to make sure that you are surrounding yourself with those people who encourage you and lift you up. You can find your tribe, connecting with like-minded individuals who share your goals and values. That can really support you. And you can do that both in person, online. We are so lucky nowadays that we have such a vast array of support online that we can use. So that is absolutely possible. And again, if you are looking at different ways that you can shift and change the way that you're seeing yourself, it's really important, I think, to look for constructive feedback. So one of the shifts that I think is really important here is shifting from looking for praise from somebody to looking for feedback from somebody. Just that subtle shift again, rather than relying on somebody to say that you've done a good job, getting used to actually getting some more constructive feedback so that you can use that as a starting point, really, to help you to grow. And I hope that all makes sense. Do let me know if you've got any questions or queries. And again, if this feels like something that you would like some extra support with, please do get in touch. I do offer single sessions as well as package sessions. Please do get in touch. They start from £60. So the link is in the bio. You can find, or the show notes, you can find out more information there, or just DM me or email me. And the last thing I'm going to say is, remember that looking at self-validation is a journey. It's not a destination. It's not a tick list. It's not something you're going to kind of done. It's a journey. So it takes practice and patience, but I promise you the rewards are worth it. You will build a stronger sense of self-worth and confidence, and you will be better equipped to handle life's challenges and just feel better and more comfortable in yourself doing that. So I hope that all makes sense. I'm sending you so much love, and I'll be back next week. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. If you have any takeaways or any questions, please do reach out to me either through Instagram, LinkedIn or Facebook at Kate Carter Coaching, or you can email me at kate@katecarter.co.uk. I always love to hear your feedback and the things that you have taken from the podcast. If you know of any other highly sensitive people, then please do share this so that I can reach more and support more highly sensitive people to embrace their strengths and gifts. As a thank you, I will pick a winner every month for a free 50-minute coaching session with me. Thank you so much.